should let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
You.
Y'all, we're back 3 days in a row.
Hi, Tanya.
We're catching up on all things 90 Day The Last Resort. We are on season 2, episode 9 and 10. Today, I am Linda with my co-host, April Holloway. Hello.
Hello.
I saw a video recently where it was this young boy who maybe he was 5. He had perfect marks in school, so he was getting an award at a ceremony at his school. And I don't have kids, so I was surprised that the new thing, instead of clapping, they do this, which is ASL, but everyone does that now. And I was like, okay, let's be all inclusive, because I love that for us. That being said, nice. The little kid took the mic and he was like, "Can I say something?" And the teacher was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And he quoted the Martin Luther King speech, and I just fell out. Beautiful. That being said, the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is I was telling April, that's why we're late, because I was telling April about my day. Outside is too expensive for me, y'all. I'm trying to figure out why it's so expensive outside. I'm going to tell you what happened to me today in a brief recap. I had a meeting today, this afternoon. My run flat tire thing came on, so I pulled over to get air. That air that I'm breathing right now. I went to get air at the gas station, and they said that I had to pay $2.50 for them to turn the air on. And I said, "Oh, we're paying for air now? Wait, what?" And I kind of didn't have a choice, because if I want my car to keep going, then I got to put air in my tires so that it doesn't explode. But I have to pay for air now. Then I went to go park in the city, and my bad, I read the sign wrong. I thought it was $8 for the entire day. No, it was $8 for each half hour that you're parked there. So when I came back and I went to put my little receipt thingy in, $20 for parking. Mind you, they wanted $6 for the coffee that I had. So if you add all that up, roughly, it's like $40 for a coffee. For a coffee to $40. I was telling April that I haven't even had eggs in months. $40 for air, for parking, and for a coffee. Not a fancy coffee, because I don't like fancy coffee. I just like regular black coffee. Maybe I'll put a little cream in it, and that's it. April.
Yeah, it costs so much to go outside.
Listen.
That's why, I just try to take advantage of free stuff wherever I can.
I'm about to say that I'm not going outside and everything's going to be a Zoom. And I can get my little coffee pods, and we can virtually sip coffee together via Zoom, because this is outrageous. Hi, guys. Joslo, Becca, Raydella. Who else is in the house? I think Tanya's in the house. Hello. Okay. My rant is over for today. That will be my only rant. I'm trying to limit my rants to one a day.
No, people come for the rants. Give them the rants.
All right, y'all. We're doing season 2, episode 9 and 10. Episode 9, Nice Guys finished last. Where we left off yesterday was with Josh, right? With Josh gaslighting. And you guys, I'm really trying to be open-minded about Josh, but he, in my opinion, represents and comes off as a complete a-hole. And now, so Brandon and Julia have everyone over to the Hollywood, the honeymoon suite. Yeah, I'm still stuck on $40 for nothing. I didn't even get any food in that situation. For the honeymoon suite, they invited everyone over, and here's where we find out that Josh has been telling the group all different things, right? So Josh is saying that Natalie's too much. She's not stable. She's too all over the place. She's crazy. He's worried that she's gonna take his money and his business. Flip side tells Binny that he loves her and wants to build more confidence with her. And Gino says, well, he wouldn't have come here for nothing. And that's where I have a little bit of a problem because, yeah, he came for fame and TV time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's nothing of the relationship, but it's all about him, which is consistent in these 2 episodes, in my opinion. Very selfish, very non-committal, very gaslighting. He's giving all those things to me in Natalie. And Natalie is so desperate for attention, love, affection, stability, family, marriage, that she's not seeing it, that she's allowing to have the breadcrumbs. What are your thoughts so far, April?
I'm not trying to see the good in Josh. I think that he's bad all around. I think he's a bad partner, a bad ex-husband, a bad father. I do not see any redeeming qualities whatsoever. He does not have any honesty at all. Hello, Melody. I don't see any opportunity that he's taken to be truly honest about his feelings, his desires, his intentions, his wishes for Natalie or Sophie. So no, I don't see anything good about him whatsoever. He is a villain.
100%. 100% a villain. So no one's seen him because behind the scenes, after he had a one-on-one therapy session, he took off. He didn't tell Natalie. He didn't tell anyone. He was just gone. So meanwhile, that's all in the background. Sophie needs time to process her mom and her mom's addiction, how she grew up with no parental supervision. So Rob goes to the party on his own. Stacy goes to the party on her own as well. And she's apologizing for Florian's behavior. She's embarrassed and doesn't want to be around him, realizes that people don't want to be around him, thinks he has anger management issues. What are your thoughts about him having anger management issues?
I don't know if that's one of the problems that he has. Maybe, because anger does show up different ways. It doesn't have to be violent to be an anger issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Becca says, I feel like he only shows up, he meaning Josh, for the free promo for his job or whatever. But like Big Ed, these two aren't married. Why are we still paying them attention? Becca,
Because
you're
Natalie,
not wrong. You're absolutely
you're not
right.
wrong. The
You're
only reason they're getting any attention is because Natalie.
Facts. And Natalie is great TV.
And no matter who Natalie was with, whether she was with Josh or someone else, I think she would have been invited to participate in the single life. She gets good ratings. She's good for TV.
Yep. Ari shows up to the party. It's awkward because she hasn't seen Binny since, he flipped her off. Binny tries to make small talk with her. She's not really having it. And then we talk about Gino. And you guys, the more I watch these episodes, the more I'm like, Gino has some deep-seated traumatic issues that he has not dealt with. And after the fight with Jasmine, he is continuing to say no sex. We're not having sex because we fight all the time and she doesn't listen to me. And I was like, I could never be in a relationship where sex is used as a punishment and power and control, right? And we got to remember where they met, right? They met on a sugar baby, sugar daddy site. He knew what he was getting into. What you said to me yesterday, April, on the show, where it was about the mother versus the W experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the Madonna complex. Yeah.
It's really starting to settle in with me because in no shape, way, or form, friends, should you ever be in a relationship where sex is used as a weapon against you?
Especially by the man.
And especially by some old dude that only wears a hat that can't even take a minute to be self-aware. No, thank you.
Jasmine's the first sugar baby in the world who's begging to give away the sugar.
Right. Giving it away. Giving it away. That part. Giving it away and still not for free. So while that's all happening, he's saying he's not ready yet. And the whole team of 90 Day Fiance cast members are like, what's really going on? What's really going on? Jasmine says, if you can't give it to me, let me find it in someone else. Let's have an open marriage. April, you said something yesterday that really resonated, and I'm about to post about it later. I do think that she opened up her relationship. I do think that, she's still married to Gino. And if you guys didn't see yesterday's episode and know that Jasmine's pregnant with her boyfriend's baby, Matt, but she's still married to Gino, and April let us know that whoever is in the married partner, if the baby comes while you're still married, that married person goes on the birth certificate, which means that if she decides that she's not going to get divorced before the baby gets married, then Gino is legally the father, and therefore, looking forward, would have to pay child support. Now, I think that that's exactly what's going on. I think that they haven't broken up. I think that she needed her needs met. She wanted another baby, had another baby, and it's going to be the three of them. And then why I say that is today I saw that Jasmine and Gino have a joint Instagram account, and they changed it to Jasmine, Matt, and Gino. And if I could pull it up on my phone, I'll show you the photo. I haven't posted it yet, but let's see. Can you guys see this? Where it's Jasmine and she's balancing Matt and Gino while pregnant. You guys see that? Oh, my nails are terrible. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think she's going to be in a polyamorous relationship. And I think that Gino's going to be the official dad and Matt's going to be the contributor.
And that's how you get your own show, Jasmine.
And that is how you get your own show. So the cast is like to Gino, what's really going on? And Gino's like, well, she keeps talking about opening the relationship. I'm not open to it. They all both self-pleasure and never have sex. And mind you, you guys, they've only been married like at that time for 9 months, and they've not been together for the entire 9 months. But he thinks that self-pleasuring should just be enough.
Insanity.
Tanya says, new spinoff, Seeking Brother Husband, the 90 Day Fiance edition. Facts. Rob is really, so I'm going to say this for now, but I have a different opinion later. Rob tells Gino that he really needs to do what he can to push himself while in therapy and while they have access to therapists, and do whatever it is that it takes to move past this, because they're in a unique situation. Jasmine feels stuck. She doesn't know what is her next steps, but in real time, we know what her next steps were, right? Like she decided that she can't be in a sexless marriage. Any thoughts so far, April?
I think that I agree with Rob's advice. That was very good advice. Take advantage of this time that you have the therapist. But isn't it interesting to you that none of the guys, like they're encouraging him to be intimate with Jasmine. They're encouraging Gino to be intimate with Jasmine. But none of the guys are really asking him what the problem is. They don't seem, I guess Florian did ask one time. But It's curious to me that they aren't a little bit more like, so exactly what is the problem? Because him saying I want calm for a week or several weeks in a row, that doesn't make sense. But none of them push him on it.
And what guy do you know that doesn't want to have sex that's being offered to him on a regular basis? Because I don't know any.
The only people that I know are self-professed asexual people.
And maybe that's what it is. But I know that there's some underlying deep-rooted something that we haven't gotten to.
Absolutely.
Is it finally sexy time for Brandon and Julia? It looks like it. So she breaks up the party, which wasn't really a party. It was more like a de facto therapy session that went wrong. But she had promised that, hey, if I have all these people over, we'll have sexy time. And it looks like it, but we don't find out the next day that he actually fell asleep, which is an issue that she was aware of that he didn't acknowledge. And I was like, oh, so it's not about her just saying no, no, no. When she makes time, here we are. Jasmine feels like Gino and her have made no progress since they've been there. She's really upset. She's upset that, and I feel the same way. He's very selfish. It's his way or no way, and he keeps blaming her for not working on the relationship, but he gives zero efforts at all. Hey, Christina. Hey, girl. Hey. It's the next day. Stacy's mad at Florian because remember, Florian had that big fight with Jasmine. They all get this letter slipped under their door saying they're going to do an overnight trip. Jasmine's like, you know what? Okay, let's do this. I'm drained, and I'm about to give up, but let's give it one more chance. So they all get ready for this overnight trip. So they pack. Ari overpack. I'm an overpacker too. Because how do you pack, April? You travel a lot.
I am the lightest packer in the world. I go everywhere with a carry-on and a backpack. That is it.
That's not me.
Yeah, my trip to Antarctica was the first time I actually took a large checked bag, and that was because I needed a lot of like heavy clothes.
I check bags, but here's the thing. I don't know. I dress how I feel for the day, and I don't know how I'm going to feel. So, like, I'll have one check bag and one carry-on. But, like, even my last trip back home last month, I ended up buying a suitcase because I also like to bring stuff back that reminds me of home. And so I'm always a mess. So Ari bringing a full-on big suitcase was relatable to me. Let me know in the comments and in the live chat, how do you guys pack? Do you pack light or are you an overpacker? So they're all in two vans doing their thing. Girls are going to be in one van, the guys are going to be in another van, and all of a sudden a sports car rolls up. Typical. And it's Josh. Tanya says that she's a classic overpacker, 2 to 3 outfits per day, nighttime outfit plus lounge. Tanya, very relatable. That's me. 100 Pieces says I'm a reformed overpacker. So he pulls up, and I was like, this is exactly it. And Natalie called it. The way he's coming in and out of therapy is the same way that he's coming in and out of her life. And the way he showed up in that very fancy, expensive sports car was really kind of gross to me. What did you think, April?
Yeah, it's very showboaty.
Yeah.
Of all the bad things I said about him earlier, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, it's the worst. So Josh left the night before, after their first individual therapy session, because she was talking about babies and family, and I'm not trying to have a baby or a family with her. He said, and then he exaggerated. He said Natalie was screaming at the therapist, and it was embarrassing him, so he wanted nothing to do with it. But he came, and then they were like, well, why did you come back? And he's like, I came back for the guys. No, you came back for the airtime, friend. You came back for the airtime.
Mm-hmm,
Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, maybe he did a little bit come back for the guys because he seems really invested in trying to make relationships with the other 90-Day Fiance people. Not for good, like obviously for nefarious purposes, but
right. Tanya says, I'm dead. That car probably cost more than my house. And Florian said, it's not a Lamborghini, Gino.
Florian.
Love Florian. Becca says she has a separate bag for her shoes. I can relate.
I literally take one I will take one pair of shoes on vacation, but I do have a different problem as a very bad underpacker. I almost always have to buy clothes wherever I'm at.
Yeah, like no, I can't underpack. It stresses me out. Packing is hard as it is for me. So Gino's explaining his fight with Jasmine to the guys, and Florian again. He just gets it, you guys. I'm a Florian fan. Despite whatever you guys think, I'm a Florian fan. So he's like to Gino, you know what? If you don't feed her, someone else will feed her. And if that is not the truest statement, because here we are. She's pregnant with another man's baby that she met at the gym that she couldn't even get a ride to. She had to like bus and do all the things. And
Mm-hmm.
now that person that she was leaning on is her baby daddy. Someone else will feed her.
Mm-hmm.
But Gino's like continues to refuse sex, and he's like, I will take a pill, those pills that we know that he takes, and he'll take it for himself.
He'll take it for himself, which is
Wild. It's wild.
like the wild. Can you imagine seeing your husband taking one of those pills and you know that y'all are not about to get busy?
It's wild. I've just never heard anything like it. So Natalie's mad at Josh. She's ignoring him. We get to the campsite. They're going to camp overnight. Then there's like weird. The whole Jasmine, Stacey, Florian fight is super weird. But Jasmine's like, I don't want to be neighbors to Stacey and Florian. No offense. There's a fight that happens. The therapist is like, we're all adults here. Let's calm down. And then one of their first tasks is setting up the tents together. It's supposed to be a team activity, and it's supposed to show how well they work together. Now, some of them worked well together, some of them did not. What's interesting to me, April, is Josh and Natalie always work well together as a team, even though they're not really a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they did work together well on the row kayak thing. And now
And
this.
and even on building the tent, she was taking direction from him, which is a whole other conversation, but they did well.
It
They were
makes
the
sense
first.
to me. She wants
Why?
him to be in control. She wants him to take charge, but
Yeah.
and so in those moments, she gets that relationship that she wants from him of being told what to do. But in the case that she actually wants a full-fledged relationship, he's not leading that. He's like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Stacey and Florian was funny because Stacey just watched Florian put the tent down.
Which fits them, which fits their dynamic.
Yeah. Benny and Ari, they were a team. They worked together. Gino put his tent up by himself. So Florian, after he put up his tent, went over and helped Gino. And then who am I missing here? Brandon and Julia set up separate tents, and we'll talk about that later. Natalie was like, oh, we won. We're the first to build our tent. And I think it's interesting that everything is a competition for Natalie, right? Because that goes back to everything that we've learned about her, whether she's been bullied or she was an actual bully. She doesn't look at anything as teamwork. She looks at it as competition. There's a little thing where Jasmine is missing, but really she was just in the tent because she hadn't slept the night before because she was fighting with Gino all night. They have the first therapy session and no phones are allowed, and it's going to be group hypnosis. Now, April, what are your thoughts on hypnosis?
I don't believe in this. I mean, I'm glad that they seemed receptive to it and it went well, but this seems like the most ridiculous thing to me.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. And here again, we're agreeing, April. I'm not for it. I do like like Florian, think it's like hocus pocus. I don't believe it. I don't believe when she was like, put your arms out like this and your fingers together and like magnets or whatever. And then at the sound of my voice, you're sleeping. And they're like, no.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I
I
don't.
haven't never got it when I see it like at a circus or carnival, and I don't get it now. Right? Tanya, Shannon.
Tanya,
Exactly.
you took me all the way out. Like, you took me all the way out right now. Tanya says, if you can hypnotize these idiots this easily, then just hypnotize them into being better partners and call it a day. Like, what?
Remember when it was like really big on TV that people were using hypnosis to like stop smoking? Do you remember? Did that happen in Canada or that was just US TV?
That happened in Canada too. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I never believed it.
Oh, Tanya. Oh my God. That was hilarious. Hi, Mary Beth.
Hi, Maribeth.
Okay, I don't believe it. I just don't think it's that easy. And did you see the way that Stacy was knocked out?
They were literally like, I would like them to try it on us.
That
We
part.
will let
And
you
I
guys
was
know for real if this is happening.
it's trash. It's trash as far as I'm concerned. It's trash. But you know, good on them. So they do the group hypnosis. Just hypnotize them to be better partners. I mean, that's it. They're supposed to reconnect with part of their minds that will correct some of their core poor behaviors. Gino's scared to do it because what if he starts talking about deep dark secrets? And I was like, that's the realest, truest thing he's ever said, right? Because I continue to say there's something that Gino has not dealt with that in his mind he knows, right? Whatever that looks like, it's not good, you guys. It's not good, whether it's trauma or like deviant behavior, whatever. There's something there that he doesn't want to even talk about. And I think that's scary.
Yeah.
Rob volunteers to be first to be hypnotized. And then we find out that Natalie dabbles in this whole hypnosis business. Josh calls her a witch. He actually says sometimes there are things that she knows that she shouldn't know. And I was like, oh, I know you guys are not like spiritual like myself, but I am a Christian, and all of this just gave me the heebie-jeebies. I was like, no, let me do an extra prayer here because this right here is not for me.
Yeah, none of it's for me. None of it's for me. This is not for me. And then like church is not really for me either. I remember one time when I did go to church though, I went to one of those storefront churches where they try to bop you on your head and make you pass out. And the preacher kept bopping me and I was not passing out. And I was determined not to pass out because I was like, I don't believe in this. He's clearly just trying to knock me off balance. I'm not going to let it happen. And then he started preaching about how some of us have strong will that needs to be broken for us to accept Christ. And I'm like, I'm not down with any of this hypnosis stuff, none of that stuff.
I'm sorry that was your experience, but I also want to say that that's not every believer's.
Oh, absolutely not. I know.
Okay.
But like, I'm just saying, like, I don't like any of this kind of, you think you can stand in front of me and do something with I don't believe in any of that.
And I'll just say this. I think that oftentimes the Bible is misinterpreted and used for manipulation purposes, and that's why if you're a believer, you really have to be in your Bible and know what it actually says, so that you don't have someone who's trying to manipulate and dictate what their will is. And I'll leave it alone at that. Their eyes are closed. They're being hypnotized. Sophie, I don't know if you guys noticed, she peeked. She was like this when I opened, looking around. That probably would have been me because I'm like, what is this? I'm not into it. The therapist says, sleep now. And my note says, LOL. All of them were asleep.
Like, imagine somebody making a big, loud, calamitous noise.
Sleep now. Everyone in the live chat, close your eyes and sleep now. Sleep now. Oh, April's asleep. It worked.
Anyway, listen, 90 Day Fiance people, bring me and Linda on, and we'll let people know for real if this hypnosis therapy is working.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So funny. So that happens. They have to remember a specific time when they hurt their partner. Live it the way it really happened. Feel what you felt. Play it back the way you would have liked it to happen. That was their assignment.
This is a dangerous assignment.
Florian, my good Florian, feels like this is all like voodoo. And Florian, I agree with you. You know, I'm already team Florian, but yeah, like what are you even talking about right now? So really, I don't even have to close my eyes and do all the magnet stuff. I can remember a time that I've hurt a partner or a partner has hurt me. I don't need all this hocus pocus business. But here we are. So they start off with Brandon. Brandon's hurt was very telling. So Brandon said that the time he hurt Julia is when he gave a house key to his mom without asking Julia. She's like, that really was not important. That's not what hurt me. Julia's hurt was when he came to visit her in Russia. This is early on in the relationship. She says her disclaimer was she didn't realize that they were serious. She was horrible to him. And the reason why she was horrible to him is because she was meeting her ex-boyfriend, and they met up, they kissed, and she was planning to get back together with him. What were your thoughts on that, April?
I wanted to know a little bit more about what their agreement was. She says, I didn't know we were serious. So what was the conversation? What was the agreement? And then I feel like I would be more clear on whether I consider this cheating or not, because a lot of times people do not talk about those things out loud, and the assumptions are what caused the problem. So like, what was the agreement? If there was no agreement, then there was no committed relationship.
Well, she said she hadn't seen him in months, and she'd only seen him a few times prior. So she didn't think that they were serious. However, we learned later in episode 10 that Brandon said they had already started the K1 visa process.
Okay. Here's the thing about the process. People start that process sometimes without a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they started that process, which would indicate to Brandon that this is very serious, what did that mean to Julia?
That part.
So I still think there has to be a conversation that says that we are exclusive before you can expect exclusivity.
So if you're not exclusive and you kiss someone else, is it cheating?
No, I don't think so. If there's no conversation where we agree that we're exclusive, I don't operate under assumptions.
I agree. I think that if you're not exclusive, it's called dating.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to episode 10, lasting effects. We continue on. Brandon feels hurt. All of this happened 5 years ago. Julia didn't think their relationship was serious at the time, and that's why she was like, hey, it's long distance. I've only met you a couple of times. My ex is in the picture. We'll see what happens. Sophie, her realization during hypnosis was she was having an argument with Rob in front of her friend, and we all know that friend. The friend and the mom, in my opinion, are problematic. She said some inappropriate things, and she's sorry about that because, she said some inappropriate personal things in front of her friend that hurt Rob, and it wasn't her place to share her personal business, and it hurt his feelings. Now, fast forward, and I'm about to post it. I'm catching up on All Things 90 Day. She went off. She outed him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, allegedly, but she outed him, whatever that means, whether it's true or not. She clearly, this little exercise in present day meant nothing because she outed him online recently, and I will be posting all about that later today so you can check it out. But I mean, if you're apologizing and then you do it again, what does that say about you?
You weren't really sorry.
You weren't really sorry.
That's what I think it means. People might disagree.
I agree with you. You weren't really sorry. You were just saying it to say it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because repeat behavior after you already know that it's an issue.
Or it was more important to you to hurt me than it was for you to repair the damage that you had done.
That part. Rob's confession was while they were in a long distance relationship, he entertained a girl, sending him inappropriate things. He's sorry about that because he feels like it changed everything. And it was basically online cheating. What are your thoughts, April?
I feel the same way because their timeline is a little bit messy. Their timeline of when they were committed, not committed, broken up, and together. I'm not sure when Sophie says that he did certain things if they're cheating anymore. Like
Mm.
before, when she said that he was cheating, I was always on her side. But now their timeline is messy, their timeline of their relationship.
The relationship is messy. Stacy regrets a fight. They were at home. They were arguing a lot. And it was the first time she told Florian she wanted a divorce. She knew it cut him deeply and it hurt him. And she apologized for that. I do think that words are important, you guys. And
Mhm.
especially when you're married, when you're throwing out divorce or I'm leaving you or I'm separating you, those are words that you can't take back. So, some people say count to 10 before you respond, but you know what you're saying and you
Mhm.
know what you're doing, and make sure that you mean it because you can't take those words back and people have to heal from those words. Florian regrets cheating on Stacy, and they were full-fledged, you guys. They did a flashback of when she found out that he cheated, and there's video, you guys. I remember I posted about it. There was like some girl in Europe somewhere that looked like a dark-haired version of Stacy, and she was lying in the bed with him and they were hugging and all of that stuff. He wished he didn't do it. He wished he never replied to her. He wished he never met her. But there's video proof, and you guys can go to 90 Day the Melanated Way and scroll down and see. He said it happened 2 times. He apologizes and he says, I love you. My question to you all, to you, April, to you in the live chat, as well as if you're watching the replay, is an apology enough if there's infidelity in your relationship?
So, an apology to me is more than just words. It involves action. So, first, you have to acknowledge what you did wrong fully and completely without excuse. And then you have to tell me what your plan is not to do that again. Right. And if it's really deep, you need to do a deep analysis of why you did that. You can't just say, I hurt you, I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. Like, figure out where it came from and how you can stop it. Because when I see people who are in relationships that involved infidelity and they didn't make those kind of changes, they're not successful. The person will just keep on cheating if they don't say what the issue was. Like, I don't know if you guys watched the Pod show, the Love in the Pod show. What was that one called? Love is Blind.
Love is
There was
blind.
one girl on there who cheated on a prior partner, and when the guy asked her why she did it, she got like so upset because she felt like she was being grilled about it. But I thought it was a reasonable question. If you're dating someone or you're about to be dating someone who cheated in the past and that caused the end of their relationship, I think it's a reasonable question to ask them, what's your plan to not do that in the future? And why did you do it in the past? And if they can't have that conversation with you, they're just going to cheat again.
I agree, and I feel like Benny falls in that category, but we'll get to him shortly. You guys, like April reminded you guys, our lives, we're like every day this week. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe to both my page and April's page. Your support means everything to us. Tanya says, I agree with April. And lots of work. And if you forgive, you cannot throw back in their face at every opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of work on both parties. So when people choose not to continue those relationships, it's not always out of spite or hatred. Sometimes it's because you as an individual can't do the forgiveness work that is required to remain in that relationship. You know,
Facts.
I've had that situation before where I had to realize, you know what, I actually can't do the work required to forgive you because I want to get physically violent every time there's a minor inconvenience that you cause because I think about the infidelity. And what that means for me is that I cannot go on this journey with you.
Yep. I was cheated on once and I couldn't get past it. And I'm that person. Like I couldn't get past it. I can't be cheated on because I won't be the one that will work through it because what brought you there? That being said, we're moving on to Josh. You guys, I really am trying to be open-minded. I really want to try to see some redeeming qualities in Josh, but I was thinking about it today, April, and I think that reality TV may not be for everyone, is because it's a mirror of who you really are.
Hmm.
And to me personally, Josh is a terrible individual, and he's coming across as extra terrible. No one is perfect, but Josh stands and some did you teach me this yesterday? 10 toes in
10 toes
on
down.
oh, I got it wrong again.
It's okay. 10 toes down.
Josh is standing 10 toes down in his ridiculousness. So he says he's trying to find a moment where did he hurt Natalie, but he couldn't find a moment where he couldn't justify the actions that happened. When I say I was shaking my damn head, I was like, see, why are we not addressing the fact that this guy is a narcissist? He's selfish, he's in it for TV, and he doesn't give a rat's patooey about Natalie. He only cares about himself. You're telling me you're so perfect in the 3 years that you've been with Natalie that you've never hurt her. You've never hurt her to the point where that you want to go back and rewind and change your behavior. Well, I'm going to tell you, since episode 10, I could probably count 20 things that you've done to Natalie to hurt her unintentionally or intentionally that is BS. So what does come out? He says, I don't have a moment. Sophie and the Vegas situation, that hurt her. Whether you were intentional or not intentional, you didn't invite her. You slid into some other woman's DM, even though you were supposed to be in a years long relationship with this woman. You flirted with somebody else. You invited that person to Vegas, invited her to fly out and stay with you. But when asked, would you do something different? He said no. Y'all, if the red flags aren't flagging in a situation, I don't know what is. And the fact that no one else challenges him, we get a little bit of challenge later on in the episode from Jasmine, but the fact that the therapist allowed this to just be his answer, I was like, did the hypnosis not stick? Why is he allowed to have this answer and keep it pushing? April, thoughts?
I was wondering, did they cut something out? Did something get edited that we didn't see? Otherwise, I don't think this is good work on the part of the therapist. Because the therapist should have said, okay, well, you don't have to dig very far. You could think of something that's happened since you've been here on the show. Or even ask Natalie, hey, Natalie, is there a situation that you thought that Josh might talk about? You know? So I don't think this is good therapy work to let him not do the activity. If you're gonna, the other thing is, it should have to be reciprocal. If everyone else is being vulnerable in front of you, it should be reciprocal that you participate in this activity as well.
That part, as well as when he said, I couldn't find a moment where he couldn't justify the actions. I really want women to understand that bad behavior is bad behavior. And just because your partner is justifying the action doesn't make it okay. And specifically in domestic violence situations where we all know it's hard to get out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allowing your partner to justify their actions is not okay. And I want to pull up what Becca said. I worry that unhealed people are going to think that this is a real representation of therapy. I personally think the therapist in this situation dropped the ball. I agree with you, Becca, because he should not have been allowed to have that answer and to say that I've hurt you many a times, but you know what? Guess what? I couldn't find an area where I couldn't justify it. It's not okay. Intentional or not intentional, hurting your partner is not okay. And the fact that you won't acknowledge it and apologize from it and learn from it is a huge red flag. Listen, y'all, you don't have to accept the breadcrumbs because you want to be in a relationship. Stand
Mhm.
on your own, be happy in who you are, and don't settle for anything else.
Right. So this is the second time that I feel like the therapist behavior is really egregious, unless there's some editing that we didn't see. The first time was when Ariella was asking for physical affection and Biniam was not into it. I don't think that's the kind of thing that a therapist should compel.
Yeah. Tanya, listen, you're on a roll, sis. Tanya says, those therapists are a joke. These couples need real therapy, not a life coach who got their degree from WebMD. Natalie says, one of the things that she remembers of hurting Josh is when she fought with him before because he was leaving and she didn't want him to leave. And she was extra mean to him. So she wanted to apologize. So she was lashing out. I felt bad for Natalie in this moment because, again, I feel like she's coming from a place of desperation. We've talked about it in the last few episodes where she's at a certain age where she thinks that her worth is lowering. She values and takes value in marriage and children. And because at the age of 39, she doesn't have those things, she is devaluing who she is as a person and therefore settling for breadcrumbs from a man who she's been with 3 years on and off, who's never even invited her to his house, who takes off after individual therapy and doesn't even tell her, shows up when he wants to show up. And the gaslighting, you guys, that I continue to see episode after episode is unbelievable to me. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. He shuts her up by kissing her. And when we get to the part where they're at the fire pit and he was literally on fire with it because the whole group was questioning. The easy way out is let me remove myself, but I'm going to say like, hey, they don't feel comfortable with us. No, you were leaving because someone was holding you accountable for your actions. Oh my goodness. So we can move on to Jasmine. This was a special moment, I thought. Jasmine talked about the first Christmas in the US and the first Christmas as a married couple and how she spent Christmas alone in a hotel because they had a big fight. She would do different things differently by opening her heart and telling Gino exactly what her issues were. She apologizes for not being the person he wanted her to be. She cries, they hug. She wants forgiveness whether they end up together or not. And I thought that that was very telling to where we are today. Because I think that she knew deep down in her heart, and women, you guys know, we all know when something is not really for us, but we try to fix it because we're fixers and we're nurturers and we love the person and we care about the person. We want to protect the person and all the things. But deep down, we know, but we deny it. And I'll give you an example. In a long relationship where I lived with my ex-fiance, the day he left, it was very sad. But the next day when I woke up in the morning, I felt relieved. And it was a big deal for me to actually admit that to myself because I realized that I was supporting him. I was doing all the things that I thought I needed to do as a supportive partner to make his life better. And he was just sailing with it. Right. And I never wanted to let that go because I didn't want to be the person that was giving up on the relationship. And I realized that as women, we don't have to be long suffering. We can put our happiness, our health, and our security first and foremost, and that's okay.
Yeah. Linda, one thing to think about when you think back on these relationships, or if you're in the relationship right now, every moment that you remember that was so good that makes you want to hold on to this relationship, think about who produced that moment. Because 9 times out of 10, it was you. It wasn't that man. So what you're holding on to is something that you can create for yourself with anybody or on your own in your own life. It's not what that person's adding to it.
That part, April, that part. And ladies, I want you to remember that you're whole in your own. You don't have to be defined by the man that's in your relationship. You don't have to be defined by the rules and regulations that that man put in your relationship and that you want to live up to in a standard. And like Natalie, you rather be in a relationship that gives you breadcrumbs than actually having the whole loaf by yourself. Oh my God, I just made that up and it sounds fantastic. Right, April? It's fantastic. So
It's fantastic.
it is fantastic because at the end of the day, it's your happiness that's important. It's your mental health that's important. And if you have children or even like siblings or your family, you got to remember those things. Don't lose yourself in a man just to say that you have a man, because I'll tell you this, it's never worth it. It's never worth it. Gino's the second person in this whole hypnotherapy situation that I was not impressed by. And I know that he has deep-seated issues. So he won't share the moment that he hurt Jasmine. I think he's selfish. He calls Jasmine out about not working on the relationship, yet here he is 10 toes deep in...
Down.
Oh, listen, 10 toes deep, 10 toes down. I'm going to try to get it, y'all, but you know what I mean. April, thank you. Listen, I try.
Okay.
Canadian.
I'm not going to correct it anymore.
No, please correct it so I can get it right. So that I'm not out there running amok and people are like, what? Who? I was talking about, side note, I was talking about cutlery. And I didn't realize that that's not something that Americans say. And
I say cutlery, but I do think it's pretty regional.
I literally laughed out loud, Linda. Okay, well, my bad, Becca. I'm a mess. But I own it. So I was talking about cutlery, and you guys know how I feel about plastic cutlery and that whole thing. I don't need to get into it. However, the people I was talking to were looking at me like I was crazy. And they said, do you mean silverware? And I was like, no, I mean cutlery, because silverware is the silverware. It's like the silverware that you have at your house. That's different than cutlery. Cutlery can be many things. It could be plastic. It could be like wood. It could be like, I don't know, metal, whatever. They're not all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why I'm on this tangent right now, but I'm just saying, like, I say some things and then I look at how people are reacting and they're like, what are you even talking about?
I understand. It's regional. That's not Canadian versus US. That is just depending on where you are, certain things don't make any sense. I grew up in the South, you know that. I remember the first time I was trying to explain cotton boll to somebody when I came up north for school, and they did not understand, nor did they like what I was saying. They were like, you participated in a competition where you have to stand in front of people and talk about cotton. And when they said it like that, I was like, that sounds weird, but it's very popular in the South.
I don't know what you're talking about, April. You definitely have to offline because I
4-H. Head, heart, hands, health. The Southern people and the replay will understand.
handheld top to what is it? Head and
Head.
shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Is it that same thing?
No. This
No.
is literally like I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health for the better living of my country, my community, and my world. 4-H. It's a very
What does it
popular
have to
club
do
in the
with
South.
cotton?
Cotton Bowl. Joslo, I will tell you what a cotton bowl is, then we have to move on because I'm taking up a lot of time with my random Southern things. So if you participate in this club, which is called 4-H, it's really big for us Southern kids. It promotes agriculture and farming and all that stuff.
Oh,
One of the, yeah, one of the competitions is called Cotton Bowl, where you wear an outfit that you either made or you bought that has to have a certain percentage of cotton, and you have to talk about like all the benefits of it, and you get scored and rated, and they have an award ceremony for all the kids. It's in the same thing. Yeah, it's in the same vein as if you watch Napoleon Dynamite and he's sampling the different milks to find what the impurity is in the milk. That is a 4-H competition.
I know what it is. I saw some because I'm all about the true crime. There's some true crime. I thought it was called 2H, but basically the girl was buying a goat and she wanted $200 from her parents, and her parents gave her the $200. She was walking to school, and then she got abducted. But you buy the animal and they raise it as part of the
Yes.
agricultural program in the school, and you raise it your whole time while you're in school. You have
And
to
you take it
feed
for
it.
show.
All the things. Yeah, okay. We don't have that in
That's
Canada, but yeah.
These are all 4-H things. My one of my sisters married a guy who was not from our South, and when we explained to him that all these things are going to slaughter, he was horrified.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
Becca knows what I'm talking about.
so Gino won't share the actual moment, and so he makes up a moment, and he's like, "Oh, when we fight, and I tell you to just go back to Panama, um, that's what I was talking about." And Florian, again, because I'm Team Florian, he's like, "Come on, Gino, come on, Gino, come on, Gino." And then he says after that, "Oh, you know what? You're just making that up." And I agree, he was making that up. It's some weird, deep, dark thing that he doesn't want anyone to know about. Ari used kind of like a overall issue that she uses negative words to describe Benny, and she needs to stop doing that. And I agree with her 100%.
Yes.
100%. Benny, and here's where I'm losing respect for Benny, because Benny really is not trying to take accountability for the number of times he's cheated on Ari, and he tries to diminish it. So he's like, 5 years ago, he was sending messages to another girl that he met, and he realized that he hurt both girls, and he's sorry for that. And Ari's like, well, wait, what's the timeline on this? Because, when I met you, you were only 3 months out of your marriage. So like, where were you? Like, what's the timeline on this? And he's like, just accept he is sorry. He doesn't want to be confronted. And she's like, he's really trying to soften the story because he doesn't want to come out as the bad guy, but he's a cheater and he doesn't want to be called out on it. And it makes me uncomfortable that he's like that. Right. And I get you want to keep your reputation, but I also need you to take responsibility for your actions, because not only did you cheat allegedly on your pregnant wife, and also when she just had the baby, but you also cheated really recently, and there's video footage of you kissing. I've posted it. So how can you then say that you never cheated? Like, you know what I hate? I hate a liar, and I hate a liar who is presented with video footage and then tells me that it's fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Has another baby in the way. Facts, Joslo. Joslo says, I predict Benny has another baby on the way somewhere. LOL.
I would hope that he's got a vasectomy by now.
Brandon's really mad. He wished he didn't know that Julia kissed her ex-boyfriend. Julia says the relationship is toxic. She wants to talk about it because there's no sex, there's no communication. He's too mad about something that happened 5 years ago when they weren't even exclusive. So he walks away because he's too angry to look at her. What were your thoughts on that, April?
I thought that it was a little bit silly of her to expect that he would not have some kind of reaction. To say that he's too mad is weird. Allow him to digest the information that you've had for the past 5 years. He didn't have that information the whole time you had it. So allow him to digest it. Don't expect him to immediately forgive and move on, and do what you can to ease his mind in the meantime. You made your confession, you know what you did wrong. Now move on to the next part of the apology, which is explaining how that's never going to happen again.
Yep, agreed. Benny builds a fire pit. They're all setting up. They're going to do s'mores. There's like random potatoes and random corn on the cob, some hot dogs, the whole thing.
I didn't understand the potato.
I mean, I didn't understand the s'mores and then corn and the potatoes. Like, where's the protein? I'm just, anyways. Again, that's just me. I like, what are we doing? Desserts? Are we doing carb side? Like, I mean, a vegetable? Like, what are we doing here? It was weird, right? Where was the protein? Weird.
I didn't understand the meal.
Was it supposed to be a meal? Whose idea was it? I have questions, but I digress. So that's all happening. Brandon is going to sleep in his own tent. He's building his own tent. Rob is helping him. He doesn't want to be around Julia right now because he's so mad. And then we have Natalie, who is reminiscing on her childhood and how they didn't have a lot. What I took from that was that she grew up poor, and, you know, to have a potato was a big deal. And she remembers like roasting potatoes and having to eat that as a meal. And so that's what she was doing. But I also felt bad for her because I really do think that she doesn't see how much she's settling for scraps with Josh. Now, she doesn't like the whole marshmallow thing. And this was a funny moment to me when she was like, Marshman, Marsh, whatever. Why I know, and this is more proof that Stacey and Florian are going to be just fine. While everyone was doing that and kind of getting through their thing, Stacey and Florian had a separate moment on a bench behind their tent. They were off on their own. They were bonding. They were communicating. They were breaking down the therapy session, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. No judgment. They were just talking. And I was like, this is why they're okay.
Yeah, they genuinely enjoy talking to each other.
Yeah. Jasmine comes over. She wants to sit with them, and she wants to basically apologize for her behavior. She's realizing that in this therapy, she's indirectly causing tension between Stacey and Florian. She's also projecting her own insecurities and fears of her relationship and frustrations in her relationship on someone else. And I'll tell you this, it takes a big person to realize that. Mm-hmm. Most people, that's not what they're going to do. They're not going to take ownership. They're not going to apologize for their behavior, realizing that it's really not about the other person. It's about what you're dealing with and what you're going through. And because you don't have the tools to recognize it, you're lashing out. Right. That being said, Florian, again, fan of his, says, you know, if you're going to come over nice, I'm going to come over nice. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to be bad, I will be a nightmare. Relatable. So she apologizes. She talks about how she's frustrated in her marriage and she's been projecting. She recognizes that she apologizes and she wants to move forward. And Florian accepts her apology. He also reminds her to think before she talks, whether or not that is going to be something that is helpful or if she's just being mean because she's mad in the moment. And I feel like that's something that we can all take, right? Like some people say count to 10. Some people say like just take it in and don't respond and respond at a later date. Whatever that is, that looks like, whatever it looks like for you, it's really good advice for all of us. Because, you know, like I can get road rage in a heartbeat. And then after I say whatever I'm going to say to the crazy driver, I'm like, oh, was that all necessary? Probably not. I probably could have just gone past. But, you know, no. So Florian says that he's going to talk to Juno for Jasmine, and Jasmine's like thankful for it because she says this really is our last hope. Then Jasmine, Stacy, and Florian join the group fire, where we find out that Sophie is talking to Ari and says, you know, Josh doesn't want Natalie at all. And this is where Jasmine asks Josh, how is it possible that you're the only person that didn't have anything to apologize about? And he's like, well, I didn't see any major issues. I didn't do anything wrong, so there's nothing I need to apologize about. And then she says, which I thought was really telling, you don't see this woman as your partner.
Right
you
on.
Don't see this woman as your partner. Let that sink in, you guys, because if you didn't, you wouldn't. It's like some random person. If I'm walking by some random person, I say some random thing to them, and if there's a disagreement, I'm not going to care about what the consequences are because I don't care about this person. But if it's my partner, there's no way in 3 years that you have never intentionally or unintentionally hurt that person. So then he's asked, so like, why are you here? And he says, well, I want to work on being in a committed relationship. So you're not in a committed relationship, where it goes to what I've been saying before, right? Natalie is an afterthought to him. And so Stacy's like, well, are you sure? Because the group thinks that he doesn't look at her as a partner. And then Natalie's like, you know what? He's giving you the leftovers like you're a puppy. And it got lost in translation. And Natalie's like, well, I like puppies. So if I have a puppy, then that's good. What are your thoughts, April?
It definitely got lost in translation. I also think that if somebody who's only seeing a microcosm of your relationship is able to make that kind of observation, then it's good to pay attention to. Not that, you know, you should let other people dictate your relationship, but somebody else seeing that from the outside is really good to pay attention to. I saw a girl walking across the courtyard one day, and she was asking her boyfriend to take a picture of her because it was a really nice day out and she had a cute outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving her attitude about it. And so I don't normally do this. I stopped and I said, hey, I'll take the picture for you. And then when I went to give her her phone back, I said, don't be with somebody who won't take your picture when you look good on a nice day.
Yep. Yeah. That part. Side note, Tanya says, as an American, I felt Sophie on the s'mores because I hate them. Let's take a little poll. Live chat, s'mores, yes or no? April, s'mores, yes or no?
Yes. Of course I love s'mores. What's more American than a bunch of sugar?
What are your
It's
thoughts?
sugar on
Like
sugar on sugar.
S'mores or not s'mores? As a girl guide, I remember s'mores. Chocolate, marshmallow, and graham crackers smushed together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't had it in like 20 plus years. 1,000 Pieces says yes. Becca says yes, but I mostly just like the roasted marshmallows. And April says yes.
And I do mind the way that Rob was explaining. I think it was Rob that was explaining, like, you have to let it catch on fire first and burn. Like, that's when it tastes good. Sophie didn't like it like that, but that's the way. Yes.
Yeah, I don't agree with the burnt part. Yes, Josla says to s'more. Renee, yes. Okay, so the answer is yes to s'mores. Okay. Hermes says s'mores. Yes. Okay, you guys. Okay. I'm gonna have to give it another do over. I haven't had it in too long, so I can't really vote because I don't remember what it tastes like.
Maybe when you first had it, you weren't as open to the American way of life as you are now.
I didn't know anything about the American way of life. I wasn't in America. Chocolate and marshmallow, skip the crackers, Mary Beth says. I mean, you guys, I'm going to have to try it. I'll try it this summer, or at least I think I'll try it this summer.
It's really good when you do some high quality chocolate too. Like a lot of people don't want to use high quality chocolate in a s'more, but if you get some high quality chocolate, it's really good.
Becca says, I heard you can make them with Reese's peanut butter cups too. That sounds interesting. So you melt the peanut butter and chocolate and marshmallow together?
Yep. And Becca, if you like white chocolate, the white chocolate peanut butter cup.
I didn't even know those were a thing.
Yes, they are.
See, Americans, y'all have a bunch of stuff.
We know snacks.
Clearly. Can I just say that, so we do Taste Test Tuesday at my office, and I bring in Canadian snacks all the time. And when I say I'm batting, am I even batting one?
Out of how many weeks?
Hundreds of weeks. Not hundreds. There's not hundreds of weeks in a year. But I'll say this. They didn't like ketchup chips. I brought we have these Ritz crackers that are covered in chocolate. They didn't like those. I brought wine gums. They didn't like those.
Wine gummies?
Mm-hmm. They don't have real wine in it. They're just called wine gums.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lori said, darn it, I just saw you were live. I was crocheting. Lori, did I show you my favorite crochet blanket? I think I did, but this blanket it's just so good. It's so good. And my friend made it by hand crocheting. I want to do it too. Anyways. Okay. I digress. Stacy asked Josh, Stacy asked first, Natalie, do you love Josh? She says, yes, I do. She asked Josh, do you love Natalie? And his answer made me want to throw up. He said, I've been caring for Natalie nonstop, and that is true. And what I want to tell you is I really need you guys to pay attention to people's words, because even when they're not lying, they're lying by their words. And the fact that he had to put the disclaimer that is true tells you that he doesn't give a rat's patootie about Natalie. Because if he did, he didn't have to put that disclaimer in. Like, yep. I'm going to say this, that I've been caring for Natalie, but my mouth and my mind are saying two different things. Thoughts, April?
I mean, Natalie's been given all the information that she needs in order to exit this relationship, and she's not doing it. So I suppose he's just like, why should I say that I love her when she's not requiring it of me? And I don't feel that way.
Facts. So I was really feeling bad for Natalie because she's being used and abused and she doesn't see it, until she told the whole group that she doesn't care. She likes the drama. It's a game. Okay, so I can't feel sorry for you. And you are not allowed from this moment forward to complain about any of the things that Josh is doing, because you now just legitimize his poor behavior by saying you're playing a game and it's like chess. So he's just going to throw that back at you because he's a narcissist and he's selfish. And he's going to be like, well, remember when we were by the fire and you said it was a game? I'm just playing the same game with you. Mm-hmm. And I seem to be winning.
Mm-hmm.
Fire goes out. Oh, no. Before the fire goes out, because he's on the hot spot, Josh takes her out of the situation, which is a win for him, right? He's like, oh, they don't feel comfortable being open and transparent with us. Let's leave. But really, he was leaving because he didn't want to answer to any of the questions that the group was asking him.
Yep.
Again, a form of manipulation. Nighttime falls, and I just thought it was interesting. So Jasmine and Gina slept in the same tent, but did you guys notice that they had like a line of suitcases that separated the two of them? Julia slept alone. Josh and Natalie slept together, but he kept complaining that she was making him too hot because she was cuddling him. So he didn't sleep well. And then he had to then go put her on blast to the group, like, oh, I didn't sleep well. Natalie tosses and turns, and she makes me hot. Again, selfish. He only thinks about himself. Everyone's looking for Sophie. She's in the tent. Oh, I was going to show you guys. Oh, maybe I can show it. And she's really upset because she finds out that Rob has been texting women the whole time during the resort and therapy. She also finds out that he has a dating profile. And here's the thing, you guys. Again, I'm behind on my post, and everyone's like, well, show me, verify, say that that's true. She has no receipts. Well, I have the receipts, y'all. And when he said he's down to be adventurous and let's explore, those things are true. And I was shocked and appalled. So he's on Hinge. Oh, maybe I should turn this off. So, okay, yeah, that works. Can you guys see that? Or should I put it up here? So it says Rob, and it's verified. You see that, April?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And then the way to win me over is consideration. Casting director at Entertainment, North Hollywood, California. Figuring out my dating goals. Figuring out my relationship type. And this is new, you guys, because remember, his hair was long. He cut it after the fact, too. You see him here. Get to this bag, my simple pleasures, nature, Instagram at Rob Warren. Okay, it goes on. So she's not lying. That's what she found. That's what she found. You're married.
So I changed my opinion.
Okay.
Somewhat, because based on his hair, unless he's using old pictures, then this would not have been something that he created while they were on a break.
Right. So to me, it looks like, because he cut his hair after, if I'm not mistaken, filming, right? So this could be new. Right. And I do remember in the first 2 episodes, I think he was living in Arizona. He said he was going to move back to California, and his profile says North Hollywood. So this could be, so you could be right. You could be right. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. That's it for episode 9 and 10. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 episodes. April 11, 12, and 13. Same time, same place. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to both April's page and my page. Head over to my Instagram at 90 Day The Melanated Way. And you guys, I'm trying to build up my entertainment site. So at Linda Is So Girly, you see that on your screen. Go ahead and give a follow and support your girl. We are headed over to TikTok for a 10-minute recap on April's page. If you have TikTok, head over and join us there. Till tomorrow, guys. Bye.
Toodaloo.